that operated the transmitter.
Well, then the question would be, would QRZ have to unsilent key them? I mean, what's the color? What's the font and the color and everything for like Purgatory? They're not like blue, like they're alive, but they're not silent key. They're like other.
I don't know. A good question about that. WA1QIX or ID.
Well, this was going to be the silent key net, where we get our Ouija boards out. Actually, you can do this online, the Ouija Simulator 2.0, where you put the mouse down on a flat surface, and then you've got the letters and the numbers up on your screen, and then you get your friends together, you put your fingers on the mouse, and then you just have the spirits move the mouse around, and it spells stuff out on the screen. You guys ever seen that? Ouija Simulator 2.0?
We've seen Ouija boards. I got a story about a silent key, an extraterrestrial story about a silent key.
How can you beat that? Let her rip.
Alright, this is just a warm-up. Oh, yay. Alright, we on the air here? Yeah, I think so. So, when John K1DEU is now a silent key, but when John was alive, so one night I was in Townsend. This was probably, I think how many years ago this happened. It might have been 10 years ago, 10, 8, something like that. It was a number of years ago. Yeah, it was probably 10. So I'm there. I wake up. I look, and there's John standing there. Hang on, somebody just texted me. See if this girl's going to come over tonight or not. Let's see what she's saying. Probably she's not. She said she probably wasn't going to. She's tired. Oh. She's coming over. Holy crow. She's coming over at 6:30? Yeah, 6:30 is fine. Let me just text her back. Yep, that's great! Exclamation point. Alright. So I gotta take a shower. So I'm having company here. Anyway, back to the story. So I wake up. I didn't wake up. I look, and John's in my room. I didn't think much of it. I said, oh, there's John. It's in my room. Went back to sleep. Forgot all about it. So the next morning I'm on the radio. I remember this like it was yesterday. And John called. I was talking to somebody, I forget who, probably Nick, or there were a bunch of people who used to get on in the morning. Nick, KG2IR, and a bunch of people would get on in the morning back then. And so John broke into the conversation. He said, "Steve, I had a very long conversation with your higher self last night." And I said, "Yeah, I saw you. Now that you remind me, I saw you in the room." He said, "I know. I saw you looking at me." He said, "Like I said, I had a long conversation with your higher self last night." So that's a real world story about a now silent key, but he wasn't a silent key at the time. N1BCG WA1QIX.
I hope you remember your story that you started spoiler alerting us with. What was it, a week or so ago?
Oh, about my cousin?
I don't remember what it was. I was having I got to cover my ears, and hopefully Steve's not going to give up too much of the information. It wasn't the famous Blue Hand story, which is an annual favorite. It was something else.
Yeah, it was my cousin. I'll tell that one in a while. I should probably let some other people jump in here and talk. I'm going to go in the shower. I'm going to bring the speaker in the shower with me, take a quick shower because I'm really dirty, and this girl's coming over, and I don't want to be like all smelly when she's here. So I am going to take a shower, and it should take me no more than 10 or 15 minutes to take a shower, and we'll be back in here, but we'll be listening from the bathroom. WA1QIX, back to you.
What's not scary about that?
I'm just listening, that's all.
Hey, Steve, QIX, are you on a different transmitter? It's Chris K2STP.
Why do I sound bad?
Doesn't sound bad, it just sounds different. Maybe not quite as good as you normally do, but it sounds okay. It's fine, but it's definitely different.
I've got a really bad cold. Several people have told me that I sound different. I have quite a bad head cold. I probably sound like my nose is being held. So I'm not well. Everybody knew that anyway, but I'm actually physically ill with this pretty bad cold. That's probably what it is.
That is. it is. But you know, every once in a while, I'm not sure if it's your transmitter or something else coming through. It almost sounds like it's over-modulated every once in a while, but I think it's something else coming through the frequency.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be I was yelling too loud into the microphone. All right, I'm going to hop in the shower. So carry on with Annette. We'll be back.
All right. Anybody want to jump in there with a extraterrestrial or supernatural story?
I can tell you all kinds of good stories.
I probably shouldn't have thrown that out there to anybody. I heard Don. Don, hang on a second, because I knew you. I don't know who the other station. Who was the other station that just keyed up?
That was me, K2STP.
Okay, I missed what you said.
I said I got lots of stories, extraterrestrial, I can tell you about.
And that's Don, who's on frequency also, right?
Sounds like an Indian pounding a tom-tom or something while doing a dance for your grandchild. That's what I saw in my head anyway.
Yes, that's actually kind of a difficult thing to explain, but hang on, let me see if it. Now, you mean that?
Yeah, what is that?
I can explain later, but I'll tell you what, STP, if you've got some stories, why don't you let it rip, and then I'll try to deal with that.
It sounds like construction. W301.
It's an Indian. He's got an Indian. Yeah, that would be complicated to get out of here, I would admit. Although it's seeing it happen, it also would get it too. KV's on nice level.
To me, it sounded like he had that prisoner locked in the room next to his shack there again.
I'll explain it, but you had some stories you wanted to share. Why don't you anoint us with your tales, and in the meantime, I'll deal with that.
That does sound funny in the background. Well, my story's quick and easy. It's at least 2 or 3. I think I might have told you this before. At least 2 or 3 times a year, I live on wetlands. It's wide open behind my house. Nothing anywhere around me, no neighbors. And 2 or 3 times a year, a spacecraft comes and lands in that wetland, and I report it to the state and the feds. Nobody seems to care. So one time, the door opened, and I walked up over, I looked in the door, and I see a bar hustling with lots of people and crazy-looking things going on, drinking. So I walked up, and you know what really pissed me off is I couldn't find a seat at the dang bar.
Well, you just made K1MB obsolete on this frequency.
Yeah, I don't know. That would definitely update you one. I think it's typical. None of that was real. They're programming your brain like a virtual world. You really walking up the ramp and it's probably going to take you away. You're never going to be seen back to Earth again. And they're going to find the malfunctions to you and coding you with all kinds of high-tech stuff. And then they're going to probably clone you and glue you back up. And then they're going to kill you with still code, coding you, and all that stuff. And most normal people's life.
Keep in mind, this is the same guy who said he throws rocks and bottles at the UFO in his backyard to get their attention.
That was hope, and I think hoping that they would get other things. But because of the fact that it's more and more people believe in it, and now I was claiming it was a filter, and all of it was positive.
Right, but you do like what the Boston Herald does. You put the story on the front page, and then you put the retraction after the lost pets section.
Exactly. That's good.
All right, anyone else with some extraterrestrial and supernatural stories to share?
I can keep going. I got a lot of stuff. We can go to the paranormal if you want to get that.
Gee, Don, I never would have thought you have any extraterrestrial stories to share.
I just have one. He goes with us. And Christmas Eve, about 2 in the morning, they woke up. Big kids gotta be up for Christmas. So a few of these women just look really forced to lay down with a store. And I walk into the room, and I'm not sure the answer is what really the answer is. I told you too, and it caught my eye because it didn't look like the light that I'm used to seeing before Christmas. So it was stopped, moving across the sky. I knew it was inside the planet, but it was close. It was moving and moving, and I'm watching this thing, and it stopped. And now I'm really watching this thing. 2 seconds later, now that was in Johns Island. You had lots of natural light in the sky, light pollution. And my brother and I would sit out there all the time and look at falling stars, hot satellites. So we had a lot of cool skies to look at. But that night, that one night, that was just, I never forgot. Now that's a real thing. Big one.
And there you go. That's the essence of the extraterrestrial and supernatural net night. Good evening, everybody. N1 BCG.
Clark, I got 2 real stories I can tell you. 2 real ones, not a joke.
Were you holding out on us? Yeah, let her rip.
I was holding out. So the first one's easy. My father, he passed away a couple years ago, but he was in the Air Force for 11 years. And then he flew for Pan American Airways, Pan Am, and then he flew for Delta. And when he was with Pan Am in the early 70s, he was the captain, he had a co-pilot, and there was a third guy in, I think it was an L-11 at the time he was flying, and there were 3 pilots in the airplane at the time. They hadn't modernized them yet. And all 3 of them saw some unidentified objects, a couple of them flying across the sky. They did not show up on radar. They contacted the local radar people, the ATCs, and they didn't see anything. So they did a report on it. He came home a couple days later from his trip and told us about it. And then, of course, I was a kid at the time and very inquisitive. We all kept asking questions. And one day he came home, he looked white as a ghost, and he said, "Don't ever ask me about that again." And he never talked about it again, to the point when after he retired, we asked him, and he looked at us like he was about to kill us. He said, "Don't ask me about it." And he never talked about it again. And that's a true story, no kidding.
So he never talked about it again, huh? You never got to the bottom of that?
Absolutely nothing. And we do know there was reports filed, federal reports, and my mother has told us, she's still alive, and she has told us to this day, she definitely saw something. They definitely saw some, odd thing. And my father, of course, was a very conservative airline pilot back in the day, back then. And he's not the kind of guy to make something up, and all 3 of them reported it. And back then, you reported things like that, you could lose your job. So this was no fooling around. But she said he never told her about it or what he saw, other than he saw something and they didn't file a report. And he had to drive all the way into JFK. We lived out on the east end of Long Island. He had to drive into the airport to do this report. So he had to meet some probably federal people or whatever. But it was a pretty serious incident. That was in the early 70s with Pan Am.
All right, well, welcome to the extraterrestrial and supernatural net. It's Halloween night on 3873. Actually, I do have a story to tell you. This is, I guess it was about 8 years ago, and maybe it was 10 years ago, and I tried my hand at haunting a house, and things went off the rails real quick. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yep. Okay.
That actually is really loud here. Are you guys hearing the banging?
Yeah, but I'm trying to
Yeah, I hear
imagine
it.
a really messed up
W2E1.
scenario where you got like somebody tied up in a closet and everything, and they're banging their head against the door of the closet to try to let other people know that you got them like tied up and everything, and after that you're going to do some weird shit. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. No, I'm trying to just
No, it's Riley Hollingsworth coming in saying, don't do it.
All right, hang on a second. Let me try to turn the mic gain down here. I'll try to talk over it. All right, wait a minute. It's really hard to get rid of the background noise. All right, so, darn it, even I hear it. So here's my story. So about 10 years ago, I was staying at my cousin's house out on Block Island. Block Island is like this sort of vacation spot. It's a quaint fisherman type village, that people love to go to in the summertime. And my cousin has a house there, and she rents it out. Well, this one weekend, this was off season. This was actually like right around now, is in October, when the normal summer renters aren't there. And when that happens, family and friends can stay out there because we're not impacting her rental revenue. So my cousin, her daughter's best friend, me, my girlfriend, and one of my close friends, we all went out there to have dinner, and we ended up staying the night in this house. It has lots of bedrooms, the perfect summer rental home. So I was all excited about this book called The Ghosts of Block Island, something which my cousin, who owns the house, hates, because I keep wanting to talk about all the hauntings and stuff like that. And there's even some stuff that went on, like really creepy stuff near where her house is, and she thinks it's bad for business, because I would write about some of the stuff in her guest book, and then her renters would read it. Anyway, so after we have dinner, we go back to the house, and it's one of those dark and stormy nights, the rain and wind and everything like that. A perfect creepy night. And we're sitting around the fireplace, and I'm reading from the book about the story about the clock lady. And the story about the clock lady is this couple was driving at night on Block Island, and they saw in their headlights this shiny object along the side of the road, and they stopped and they picked it up, and it ended up being this antique alarm clock. Totally, like, in bad shape, rusted and stuff like that. Couldn't even wind it, but they didn't want to just leave it there, So they took it back to their house, and they put it up on the mantelpiece after washing it off, and they're like, maybe we'll take this to a clock maker and see if you can get it working. Well, in the middle of the night, they get woken up by the clock actually chiming, and it chimed the time that was on display by the hands on the clock. And so that really freaked them out, and that's a whole separate story. I don't actually remember how that story went, but that's not my story. So my story is, I told that, and everyone's like hating it because it took place right near where my cousin's house was, and they didn't want to hear any more of that. So everyone goes to bed, and then like 2 in the morning, I wake up because my friend, who I really like him. He's one of my best friends, but he is so noisy. I don't know how he's ever going to get married, because when he snores, it's super loud. It's like... And he was doing this, and it was shaking the house. I mean, and I'm a light sleeper, so he was keeping me awake, and he was in another room. He was in the den on the first floor, and everyone else was upstairs sleeping. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's like, I wish I had something to put in my ears. Well, I had to go. I had to go. I had to get some water. So I'm like, screw it. I'll just go downstairs, use the men's room there or bathroom there and get some water from the kitchen and try to get some sleep. So I do that. And as I'm walking back up the stairs, I'm hearing this loud snoring, that business going on. And again, how the hell is anyone in this house sleeping? I'm like wide awake because of the noise. So I'm trying not to wake anyone up, by walking up the stairs, which were all wooden and not carpeted. And each footstep that I took was, like a creaking board. And I'm like, why do I even try? Why do I even make any effort not to wake people up with all this noise coming from the den? Well, as I'm getting to the top of the stairs, I hear my cousin's daughter and her best friend, who were staying in the room. They were like around 12, 13 years old. I hear them whispering in their room. They're like talking between each other, a little girl talk. And I heard them say something like, "It's coming up the stairs." I'm thinking, oh my God, they can hear my footsteps. This could really be funny. Good. I need a good laugh. So then I'm thinking, I will be the monster. So now instead of like trying not to wake anyone up, now I look for the parts of the stairs that actually creak the most, and I'm getting heavy-handed, you know, and doing like this. And I hear them go, it's coming up. I'm like, oh, this is the best. I'm trying not to laugh. I've got my hand over my nose, my mouth. I'm like trying not to react to it. And I got to the top of the stairs, and I see their door slam shut. It was open like just an inch. I guess they were peeking out, or they were trying to find out what the footsteps were coming up the stairs. Meanwhile, keep in mind, my friend's downstairs with a, you know, doing that. It's like, oh, God, this is so funny. I can't laugh. It'll ruin everything. So I get to the top of the stairs, and I walk over to their room, and again, with the footsteps on the wooden floor, and I can hear them go, oh my God. I grab the metal door handle of their door, the bedroom door, turn it, open their door by 2 inches, and then slam it shut. And in unison, they let out this shriek. At this point, I have tears streaming down my cheeks. I'm trying not to laugh. You ever done that? Have you ever like tried to keep a laugh to yourself? It's not easy. I went diving into my room, which was right the next door over, jumped onto the bed face down. My girlfriend wakes up, and now she's pissed. She's like, what is so funny? And that's it. Then I completely lost it. Well, she was madder than hell. I'm like hurting. My lungs were hurting from trying not to laugh. And there's this I'm sorry, it's not funny. And the two girls, you know, were like still shrieking in the next room over. All right, fast forward to that morning. We're all sitting around the breakfast table, and I can't wait to bring up this topic. So as people were getting their cereal, stuff like that, I look over at the two girls and I said, how'd everybody sleep? And they're looking at me like, are you kidding? And they're like, well, and then just as they were about to answer, and just as I was able to be totally vindicated, like get all the reward for being the king of all hauntings, my cousin goes, was that you outside my door with the alarm clock? I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah, that was you, wasn't it? I'm like, whoa, what are we talking about here? And she goes, the old style alarm clock, was that like one of your like sound effects on your phone? Like an old ringing sound at 4:30 in the morning? Now, I was not up at 4:30 in the morning. When I was doing my haunting, my N1BCG haunting, it was like 2, or maybe it was 1:30. It was much earlier. And I'm looking at her, and now she's derailing my story. You know, I wanted her daughter and her best friend to be like freaking out over, yeah, the boogeyman came up the stairs and opened our door. That's what I was waiting for. Oh no, there's this other story which is derailing my story. And I'm looking at her kind of mad now, because like, what are you doing here? And so she goes, yeah, so I wake up because I hear this alarm clock, and I got up because it wouldn't stop ringing. Now remember, I'm a light sleeper. I didn't hear this. She goes, yeah, so finally I got up and went to the door, and the moment I opened the door, there was nothing there. I think that was you standing outside my door with your iPhone playing old alarm clock sounds. I'm like freaked out now, like, no, that wasn't me. And she goes, yeah, but that's so you. I'm like, that wasn't me. I said, and what exact time was this? And she mentioned it was like, 4-something in the morning. I said, wait a minute, that sounds very familiar. Are you sure of that? She goes, yeah, because when I went back to bed, I looked at the clock, and that's what it said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time that she said she heard that alarm clock was the same hour and minute, literally the exact same hour and minute of that alarm clock from the story that I had read to everybody that alarm clock was set to. And that was a different house, and that was like 40 years earlier. So how about that? N1BCG's haunting, 0. The real clock lady. Oh yeah, you didn't hear the clock lady part. But anyway, the real clock alarm clock story, that scored a 1. N1BCG.
W3 Evermore. That was.
Oh, Perry, if that actually is Perry out there.
Yeah, it's me. Hold on, real quick. I just want to make sure everything's working here. Hold on, let me unkey. All right, we're good. How's this microphonium sound? This is an old Turner 500 dynamic microphone that I got on off of QRZ for $20. It's a cool looking mic. Does it sound okay?
Yeah, I think that's a great contribution to the net.
I know, yeah. I know. It's not a contribution to the net, but anyway, I'm recording. Got everything set up here, so the Paranormal and Supernatural Net will be all over YouTube for the 3rd year in a row. Huh?
All right, so I'd like a little sympathy here. I mean, does everyone see the effort that I went through to really freak these girls out, and I get like 0 credit for it?
Well, did you
No, we were only there one night. I didn't have any other chances. I mean, that was it. I gave it my all, and apparently the real whatever, the clock lady had her way, and my story never even came up.
Now,
listen in here, the first house. And when you talk about the historical moment of that time, well, sure, but you should tell you what happened to you, and it wasn't even better on the other side of the door. We probably knew the story about what happened to all of the thought of the top. Maybe definitely some places, certain types of actions and things a little bit, but you know, I don't think we, entertainment. There's an entertainment factor. To go into a Seesaw house that is known to, it's messed up things, and it's crazy, but it's a real and a half. Don't ever find anywhere else that its own touch to it. Hit you in a
And yeah, Perry, the mic sounds really good.
thanks. Well, now, Clark, did she say, I must have missed the lady part, the clock lady. Now, are you referring to the clock lady as the one who was saying, like, yo, dog, you were outside my door with your iPhone? Is she the clock lady, or is the clock lady the one that was standing outside of the door, which wasn't you? Is it the ghost of the clock lady? Am I getting this right?
Yeah, sorry about that. The story, the Ghosts of Block Island book, which I have, which I think is great. It's called The Ghost of the Clock Lady, or maybe it's just called The Clock Lady. But what the story is that these people were driving. This is 40 years earlier on Block Island. These people were driving along on a dark and stormy night, and now I remember it is they saw a woman. I forgot this part. They saw a woman standing on the side of the road holding a shiny object. And they thought she was just walking along the road, but when they stopped, they stopped because they thought she needed a ride. And so they went back, and they didn't see her, but then they looked down and they saw this alarm clock, and they thought that might have been the thing that she was holding. So they thought she, like, dropped it and took off. So they picked up the alarm clock, this old, like old school round alarm clock, and took it back to their house. But the hands were frozen at one particular time, and they couldn't wind it. It was all rusty and everything. But when they put it up on the mantelpiece later that night, like early in the morning, they heard an alarm clock go off, and it was that clock that there's no way it could have worked. And that was and the time, according to the book, that was on that alarm clock was the same time that my cousin, she's not the clock lady, my cousin thought that I was waking her up with a like an old style clock alarm on my phone outside her door. But when she went out to look to see that it was me and yell at me, there was no one there.
I got you. Makes sense now. Sorry, hold on. I'm not talking to the right mic. Yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah, so all the haunting and everything that I did, walking up the creaky stairs and stuff like that with my friend downstairs and the, snoring and stuff, that didn't get any ratings at all when it came to haunting that night. No one talked about that. All that I heard at the breakfast table was my cousin saying that I was the one outside her bedroom door with the alarm clock sound effects, which I was not.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't have a story yet. Once I get all settled in here, I got a story or two from this year, actually. These are things that happened recently. Things are awry over here, and like I just tried unbolting this microphone and my shirt off. Everything's falling apart. But anyway, it's good to hear everyone, man. Don, good evening to you. You're coming in good. Good evening, everyone else. Good evening. I guess Steve already had his story. I want to hear the blue hand story again later.
I mean, theoretically, I could tell the blue hand story because I've heard it so many times. But Steve, I want Steve to tell it because it's his story. But I don't want him to skip through it. Like to him, it's like no big deal, and to me, it's like, I mean, it's not a spoiler. It's just, a blue hand sticking out of a closet in a bedroom when you wake up and you see it. Seriously, how many people on Frequency, if they woke up and they saw a glowing blue hand protruding from their bedroom closet, it's like, what would you do? According to Steve's story, and this is, again, it's not a spoiler because there's way more to this, he just, shrugged it off, rolled over, and went back to bed. I mean, I would have bolted out of the house and ended up at a hotel that night, and the next morning my house would be on the market for sale.
Anyway, all right, I got another one for you. Similar to the blue hand. So Sherry and I were on our honeymoon. It's WA1QIX Friday. We're on our honeymoon, and so we're there. We're staying at the Wachusett, what was it called? The Mount Wachusett Inn or something like that. It was at the base of Mount Wachusett. Interesting enough, that place is now a mental institution. Anyway, we're staying in this place. It's our honeymoon night. And we're in bed, sleeping, by the way, or trying to sleep. And I look over. I was kind of half asleep, and I look over, and I see this face looking at right next to the bed, and right there. He was probably a foot away, and he had a look on his face like what? Like one of these, tortured looks. Like, you can see me. Why can you see me? And I said to the guy, go away. And I tried to go back to sleep. I went back to sleep, actually. Went back to sleep, woke up again. Days there again. Same look, like, you can see me. You can see me. You're seeing me. You're here. It was like one of those kind of looks. And I said, go away. And I went to sleep again. And I woke up, and he's there the third time. So finally, I realized that this idiot is going to just keep me awake. And he's not going to go away, and he's not going to leave me alone. So I made a deal with him. I said, look, this is my honeymoon. I'm on my honeymoon. This is my honeymoon night. I need to get sleep. I cannot have you constantly here right next to me, looking at me and waking me up. This is not going to work. I said, if you go away and leave me alone, I won't try to exercise you. I won't do anything to disturb you or get you out of here or whatever, because I know how to do that. And the guy left me alone. So that was kind of the end of that one. I told Sherry, I didn't tell Sherry about it right away, because of course she would take it personally. Like, you're criticizing the place I chose. But I did tell her about it eventually, and that, in fact, was her reaction when I told her. I said, you can't do it. How would you have known that place is haunted? And that place is seriously haunted. That was a serious thing, that ghost there. That was a major and strong and serious ghost. But it turns out that eventually the inn closed down, and they made a mental institution out of it. And I'm just wondering, imagine being institutionalized in a place like that, and you happen to be sensitive, and you can see this ghost there, and they're going to think you're crazy. Even more crazy than you might be, because you're seeing a legitimate ghost. So there's another one for you.
Well, that's perfect. So what? So I mean, wouldn't you expect that would be the perfect place to have like an insane asylum, a building that's haunted? Because so what? So the inmate? No, I guess they're not inmates. I guess the patients would be saying that they're sorry about that. That they're hearing people or seeing things.
Right, but the staff would think they were crazy.
Hospital to a Holiday Inn. That's another could be a Holiday Inn.
The staff would think the people are crazy, and they're not. They're legitimately seeing a ghost that's actually there.
Yeah, but that would lead to more revenue because there would be more people staying there longer. You know, like you guys are staying here until you stop hearing things.
I get it.
No, that the staff would be tripped out too. But because the mental institution is going to be the stigma for it, nobody's going to keep writing it off. They're going to keep getting scared about it. So the whole place would just be stirring with negative energy.
Don, I take your opinion on that all very seriously.
Hey, Clark, so...
That friggin' banging in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to... Can you, explain how you're going to exorcise the ghost banging on your roof?
Okay, so I'm sorry you can hear that. That's been going on for the past couple of days here. Apparently, there are... have you... You know, I know a lot of people don't believe in the zombie apocalypse. But these guys have been, they're not very bright, but they've been bothering me like around this time every day for the past, I guess it's been like 5 or 6 days.
Oh, come on,
what are you having a new roof
installed?
installed?
Hot or what? Is that the freaking bedboard banging up against the wall? Is she hot? Come on, Clark, tell us.
No, that's actually outside. And it's really irritating because it's like I have to leave the speaker of the radio cranked up because there's that in the background.
Yeah, that's what I know what it is. You can hear the rhythmic of four at a time, laying them 3 tabs.
Are they installing a roof?
Yes.
It is it's the zombie apocalypse. Trust me on that. It happens. Actually, it's never happened before, but I guess this is the kind of thing that makes me a believer.
Clark, it's time you let that woman out of that hole in the wall.
All right, I'll tell you what. This is ridiculous. Let me try to address this. Hold on a second. I actually have a
FM station, so I'm throwing in my
here. Hang on a second. Let me get that hooked up. Hold on.
Sounds like shingles to me.
No, I will. You know what? We're going to do a little tour of N1BCG here. You guys can hear firsthand. Hold on a second. Hang on a second. Let me get this set up.
I still think it's a headboard, man. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but how hot is she?
That sounds legit.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Man, as soon as on to the background. I heard him banging on the door, so I'm keep
All right, enough of this. I got a wireless microphone here. Hello? Let's see if this thing works. I'm gonna go deal with this. These freaking zombies are crazy, and they're making me nuts. Hang on. Hey! Knock it off! I'm trying to operate on 3873. Oh, great. It's like having an argument with sidebanders. They just come back and they do more of it. Oh, for goodness sakes. Whatever. You know, you just can't win with these guys. Screw it. I'm not going to bother with this anymore. I guess I should ID N1BCG.
That's great.
Sounds like a bunch of cork sockers.
Dude, that was awesome.
Now look. Now they're mad.
Yep.
And he didn't even say the other word after mother at them.
You hear that? You hear that? You guys happy now? It was just banging before, and now this. Oh, God.
So at 6 o'clock, if you want, I can tell the blue hand.
I think we need to hear the blue hand story. Absolutely.
It's time for the blue hand.
Hey, Greg.
But it's not 6 o'clock yet.
All right, well, what was the other story?
I got a story on Paranormal,
All right, let's hear it.
I've had about 7 people in different places in different ways. So I'm outside for summer day. I owned a house with a football. I think it's called the house. It was David there. You can do it. And it's sliding glass doors in the back of the house. And I closed the door and then I saw I could do it. It was nerving, unnerving. And then there was 3 episodes where the dog actually just was outside. Nobody could figure it out. And that's that thing, whatever was in that house, people. Stuff like that, that fire, and doors and locks, and for everything. They had a long time dealing with that. But, living in places too. Sometimes you can make it work, and you just have to do it. What you gotta do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Don, you did not disappoint.
No,
Yeah, I lived in a house like that.
that place had issues. And what got creepier is finding out about the identity of all the people that died in the place. So, yeah, I don't think it's taken away from that place. It was just shooting something we couldn't control. And even in Afghanistan, they had him garden poppy fields. So how do you think he got to have it? Why you garden poppy fields? You think it's over it with a bunch of oil palm or something? No, garden. Come home and got a habit, and then habits are too. But yeah, on that one house.
Yeah, I lived in a house like that back in 1977 down in Fall River, Massachusetts. I rented this house in the French section of town. I was a good French boy working in at the local radio stations. So, Mrs. Levesque, nice French name, was more than happy to rent me this house. So I rented the house, and I stayed. It was a little house, a little bungalow, typical Fall River sort of house. And the landlady and her daughter lived on the property in another building. They had like a 3-decker there, and I had this single-story bungalow. So I rented it, and as I lived there was one part of one of the rooms which every time I went, it always felt cold. I mean, it felt cold. It was a clammy sort of cold that I couldn't really figure out. And the house had, it had a living room, it had that room, it had another bedroom, and had a bathroom. So it was like a 3-room house. Right, it had a kitchen, living room sort of combination. Anyway, so I just couldn't go in that room, or that one section of that room. There was one corner of that room. I went there, it felt cold. It just did. I was going to actually use that as my bedroom. I couldn't even sleep in it. I had slept in another room. Finally, one day, I was having dinner with a landlady, and I forgot about it. I put a bunch of junk there, put boxes of stuff there. I stored things in that cold corner, as I called it. And I finally asked her if I'd lived there for like 3 months. I asked her, I said, did anything weird ever happen in that house? I said, this one section of this one room, and I described it perfectly, and she knew the house really well because she owned it. I said, it feels cold there. If I go there, it's cold. It feels like a clammy, basement-y kind of cold. It's very uncomfortable. And she said, oh, the guy who lived in the house before you, his bed was there, and he died there. I said, oh, okay, that would explain it. And that's, and I don't know if that house still has that, but it was pretty fresh because the guy had died there within months of me living there. Probably not even that many months went by. But I had no way of knowing it. Other than that place and that house was very, very cold feeling. It was a kind of a, like you said, like a basement-y sort of damp, dank kind of cold. You don't want to say. But she, she was not surprised. What's funny is the old woman didn't flinch, didn't bat an eye. She wasn't surprised at all. I mean, she's a very old woman, been around a long time. When I told her that it felt cold there and, did something happen? Oh, yeah, the guy who lived there before you died. Interesting stuff.
All right, isn't that supposed to be disclosed? I mean, isn't there something like in the renter rules that when things like that happen? I know that they have that in Connecticut. If you buy a house and someone died in it, that's got to be disclosed to the buyers.
Well, this was in 1977, and those such laws did not exist back then.
Apparently, it became quite a problem in the meantime.
Yeah, I don't know what happened after I lived there. I mean, I lived there until I moved out of that area, moved up to Marlboro. So I lived in that house. Everything was fine as long as I didn't go stand in that place in the house. It was fine. There were I never saw any apparitions there or anything like that. It just was very cold feeling in that one spot.
Sure, you got to keep the beer.
You ever figure out how he died?
I think he died of natural causes.
Because that's the place Edward is all over here in the town. And they could be in a lot of pain, psychologically, physically, you don't know. And then they'll charge a place. And then the person passes, and then they don't pass in the best way. And so you're feeling unity in the room. Versus food or the rest at home, and you might be faster or picking up on the actual person stuff. So, not saying that wouldn't be a great goal base to find out more, but to get moving in the car, just time is significant to make enough open and we'll go to the food stuff. That's a tough thing.
I want to know what this guy had on the Clintons.
It is 6 o'clock. Welcome to the Extraterrestrial and Supernatural Net Night. LNPCG. Steve, I know you're going to be jumping out when your banana lady shows up, so I don't want to miss out on the Blue Hand story and the new for 2021 story. So maybe you should pick up and don't spare the details. People love the details.
All right. These are real things. I do not make stuff like this up. This is real. All this, everything. If I say these, they're real. I do not make them up. And I've been seeing spirits my entire life. And one of my kids can see them. My mother could see them. My grandmother could see them. It runs in my family actually. Anyway, so one night I'm in bed. June is there. It's my first wife just living in Townsend. It's probably 1993 or thereabouts. And I wake up and I see this blue hand jutting out of the closet. I said, oh, brother. Something is in the closet. I didn't think much of it. I went back to sleep. I forgot about it. I did. I forgot about it. I was working, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, next night, same thing. Wake up. Oh, shoot. That friggin' blue hand jutting out of the closet. There's something in the closet. I got to talk to June about it. I went back to sleep. Next night. Freaking blue hand. I said, all right, I am going to remember to tell June whatever you did you put something in the closet? And I did. I remembered. So in the morning or sometime I saw her and I said, oh, by the way, I saw this blue hand jutting out of the top of the closet. Did you put something in there? Of course, June being very skeptical of these things because she couldn't see them, but she'd lived with me for a long time and she was used to me describing things that I saw. So she understood that it was a thing. My son Joseph was 3 years old, just as a note. She said, I bought a hat. I bought a hat box, and it's got a hat in it. I said, well, get rid of the damn thing. It's got some kind of attachment. Turns out we found out where it came from later. That's a different story. Anyway, she apparently did something with the hat box. I forgot all about the Blue Hand incident. Blue Hand itself. I didn't see anything that night. I didn't even. It just was not paramount on my mind. And everything was fine. So the next morning, come downstairs. I'm downstairs. I'm making pancakes or whatever I usually make for breakfast. And my 3-year-old comes down, Joseph, who was 3 at the time, and he says, Daddy, I saw a blue hand coming down out of the ceiling above my bed. June says, oh my God. I said, where did you put it? She says, I put the hat box up in the attic above Joseph's bedroom. I said, you have got to get rid of that thing. Take it out of this house. It has got to go. But when Joseph said that, she actually, that added a lot of credibility, because my 3-year-old child is not going to make that up. He had no clue about this damn thing. June and I hadn't talked about it or anything like that. And when she says, oh my God, she couldn't believe it that Joseph said, he said, you got to get rid of that thing. So anyway, and Joseph remembers the incident. That is the Blue Hand story.
As I said the first time you told that story, I would have been out of there that night. Steve, again, I don't understand how you could have just saw the glowing blue hand sticking out of the closet door or whatever and been like, oh yeah, okay. I want to hear more about that part, because this is where you and I would do very different things. Me, I'd be like, out of there. If I ever saw a blue hand sticking out of my closet door, I'm gone, and I'd never set foot in the house again.
Yeah, that's.
That's because you haven't been seeing these things your whole life. When I was a little kid, I was scared because I would see ghosts in places and I didn't know what they were. My parents were too dumb to tell me. Oh yeah, you're able to see. I could see auras around people, and I used to ask my mother about it. Well, what am I seeing? What is this glow that everybody has? Joseph asked. I remember Joseph asked. Still remember it like it was yesterday. Joseph asked me. He says, Daddy, what's the glow that's around everybody? And I said, what's it look like? I wanted him to tell me. He said, well, it's kind of like here, and he kind of traced around me, my body, about how far out he saw the glow. And I said, well, what color is it? He said, well, yours is blue. Mummy's is red, and Michael was born at that time. Joseph was probably about 5 at this point, and Michael's is blue also. And I said, well, you're seeing our auras. That's our spirit inside of us. That's what you're seeing. And he, he wasn't scared because I told him what you're seeing is a natural, normal thing. Joseph has seen a lot of ghosts, and he and I have seen some together, in fact. So Clark, if you've seen these things your whole life, it's not anything unusual. There's nothing different about it. So one night I'm watching TV. So this is kind of an interesting one. I'm in Townsend. This was recently. I'm looking at the boob tube. I'm sitting in my TV room and I look out the window. I don't know, something caught my eye. It's like I saw something move outside the window. Well, I live in the middle of 100 acres, so if I see something outside the window, I look at it, and there's a face looking in the window. This person standing outside the window looking in. I said, wow, looks like my cousin Paul. And it disappeared. I said, much of it. Said it was some spirit. I looked out there was nobody there. I said, yeah, it was some ghost or something out there looking. So I didn't think anything of it. Went back and watched my TV program. 4 days later, I got a call from my cousin Paul's girlfriend. Paul had died 4 days earlier, which nobody knew because Paul lived alone and he had a fatal heart attack in his house and he died. And what I'd seen, it turned out one of my brothers, my brother Matthew, Paul also showed up to his place, which Matthew didn't tell me that until we were actually at the wake, and I had mentioned that. No, we were actually at the funeral, and I mentioned something to Matthew about seeing Paul. He said, "Oh no, you did too?" He said, "Yeah, same here. He came to my place, and I saw him, and I didn't think much of it until you called me and said Paul died. So that was kind of an interesting one. So my cousin Paul, did in fact come by for a visit, and he was close to me. I was the cousin that he was closest to, and he was somewhat close to my brother Matthew, and my brother Matthew can also see these things. So, yep, that's the most recent one there, Clark. And we're just settling my cousin's estate now. I'm the executor of his estate, and we're trying to settle it. But that was kind of interesting. I mean, there's Paul. He said, "Geez, it looks like Paul." I didn't think anything of it, because, why would I have thought my cousin Paul died? He was only 59 years old. He was a lot younger than me, and seemingly very healthy, but you never know.
All right, so I have a technical question here. You said that the male aura is blue, the female aura is red. I guess that's where they get sort of like the blue and pink. All right. Close enough. Anyway, so here's the thing. If the hand sticking out of the closet that was associated with the woman's hat was blue, how does that work?
Because that's wrong. Males and females can have any number of color auras. June's happens to be red. Mine happens to be blue. Michael's is kind of bluish green. But people can have different color auras. I've seen everything from white. There's a whole range of colors. Blue is very common, and red is very common. So those two I see a lot, or I used to see a lot. So yeah, no, it just happened that that thing was blue, and the most common color apparition I've ever seen are blue and green. The time Joseph and I saw the woman is kind of greenish. She was standing out. I woke up. We were renting a house in Lake Winnipesaukee in Meredith, and I wake up and there's a woman standing out there, and she's kind of green and blue, old woman standing out in the hallway. I said, "Yeah, she's harmless." I went back to sleep. So Joseph gets up, and Joseph's probably 12 at this point. He said, "Daddy, did you see that last night?" I said, "What'd you see, Joe?" He said, "I saw this woman, kind of green and blue, standing out there in the hall." I said, "Yeah, I saw her too. She's harmless." And Joe said, "Yeah, I wasn't scared by her or anything like that. I just saw her. Didn't know if you had seen her too." So she was kind of green-blue.
Whoa, it's like a learning experience now.
Are their colors more threatening, Steve, than the natural colors? K-E-1-M-I.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, do you see an aura when you look at everybody, or does it have to be under certain conditions?
I don't see them anymore. Either does Joseph. Most children lose that ability when they, by the time they reach their teenage years, and I was no exception. I did, and Joseph can't see them anymore either.
Don't forget about the woman I saw at your place, Steve. K1KBW.
Why don't you tell that one, Bob? You saw that woman. I didn't see her. You tell that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, well, Steve was in the kitchen facing towards the sink, and I was sitting out in where the table is, facing towards the door going outside. And I see this old woman with this funny hat. It's kind of a little flat. It's kind of not square, but flat on top, and with like a shawl on. She walks through the door, and she just kind of floats up the staircase and goes upstairs. And I told Steve about it, and of course he wasn't looking in that direction, but she just walked right through the door. And I could actually see through her. It was weird. Because I was at his place, I wasn't here.
The description of the woman fits my mother, wearing one of her berets. She always wore berets, and berets are flat hats.
Hey, mother's only half a word.
Yeah. Well, I mean. Yeah, well, it could be, but I mean, she had like a shawl on, and it's dark colored, a dark clothes. Her dress was like dark, and just floated right up the staircase.
What about the woman you saw up here at Mirror Lake?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That was just recently, when we went to Nearfest. I wasn't sure. All I saw was like the head, and I'm looking at it, and I go, it must be something that's in the room, and it just looks like a head or something. and it kind of looked, you know, more like a woman than a guy. And I'm looking at it. I said, "Oh, it must be something that's there, and it just happens to look that way." And then it moved, and then it disappeared. And I go, "Oh well."
Don't you get a vibe out of that when you're looking at something and you get that moment and you see something happen and move or whatever you want to chase it?
What did you say? She was afraid of my equipment or something?
Yeah, that was before I saw that. When I was laying there, and like I said, I don't know if I was sleeping and dreamt that part. You know, I wasn't dreaming when I saw that head there, because I was wide awake. I was actually sitting in that rocking chair. But before I got up, I was laying there, and this woman and this guy were talking, and she said that she was afraid of your equipment that you had in the house. She was afraid of the electricity. And I'm going, wow, that's strange. And like I said, I don't know if I was dreaming or if it was real or not on that part.
What did the guy and the woman look like?
They were short, and maybe slightly above average build, but they were short.
Ah, the people who lived in this house, the man and the woman, were really small people. The guy was 5'3", and the woman was just a little under 5 feet tall. They were very short people.
Well, there you go. It could have been them.
This is a good, man. You guys are coming up with some good stuff this year, man. This is, I think, some of the best stories we've ever had on here. W3MMR. Good evening, Bob.
Hey, what do you say, Pierre? Well, that just happened. Just last couple of weeks ago, or a week or when was Nairfest? A week or so ago. That just happened. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, K1KBW. Maybe somebody else has got something else too.
WA1QX. I got to call my son Michael. He just called me a minute ago, so I'm going to call him right back. WA1 Queen Item X-ray.
Okay, K1KBW.
Yeah, when you come back, Steve, let us know if you're going trick-or-treating with your friends. I'm on GLC.
Yeah, no trick-or-treating.
I shut my my light off, and but that shuts my camera off outside, and I go, I ain't no good. In case you know, little kids, there's no problem, but you get these big kids that decide to come around, they're gonna, soap your car up and throw eggs and stuff like that. So I said, I'll just go out. I unscrewed the light bulb on the porch light, because it's plugged into the porch light. I unscrewed it, turned the camera back on, because I want to see what's going on.
I have automated Halloween. I ended up a couple of years ago. I found one of those old-style candy vending machines. You know, where you have the candies lined up, and then you put the coins in, you pull the lever out, and it drops it into the tray. I have one of those sitting at the end of the driveway there. So the people want some treats. All I got to do is take some of that UNICEF money they've been collecting in a little box, dump the coins in, and they can have anything they want. Run PCG.
There you go. We might as well make some money.
Well, I mean, I don't charge a lot. It just breaks even.
Anyway, while I get the key down, let me check my SWRs. Oh, I'm running too much power. Maybe it's SWRs. Let me check. We're
running too much power.
Turn that down like that. And that one that way. And that's 0. There we go. No SWR. No, it's not obscene power, but I'm going to turn it down a little bit anyway. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I just had to adjust my my tuna fish.
Hey, Bob, I don't know if you've got Ken, as in Kerry and Ken's phone number. I sent Kerry a text message asking if Ken was going to be on. Last year, he was the star of the night telling his ghost hunting stories, but I haven't been able to reach him.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did ghost hunting. He's got the equipment. I was going to buy one, but I didn't get one. To detect anomalies and so whatever in the room, and they're not expensive. They're only like $30 or $40. And I still may get one. But this is in an old house, and we had it built so nobody else was here before us. It was just an empty field. So there's probably nothing here. I'll be here though after I die. I'll haunt the crap out of this place. But I don't think it's haunted by anybody else. And yes, I do have Ken's number.
Yeah, those you can get those EMF detectors and K2 meters for cheap now. They're easy to find too. You can get them on Amazon or eBay or wherever. And there's a whole bunch. There's a few different things that you can get. There's a lot of different things that you can use. So anyway, yeah, good evening, Bob. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to let this thing keep recording here. You guys are doing a great job, and I'm going to make some dinner. But we'll be in the background. W3MMR.
Can you imagine that? Sort of like an anti-will. Instead of telling your loved ones what they get, you say, if you don't do this, this, and this, I'm going to haunt the hell out of you, and you'll never have a full night's sleep.
Sure, that's been done.
No, I think that's a pretty original idea.
Oh man, those companies. Yeah, did that. You also self-equipment is really close. Those things you can do. It's an exhilarating thing to do. You're going into a place that's not, supposed to be there, and you just see, like your hunting thing. It comes, you go the opposite way, you don't run, you go to it. And now you're chasing it. That can be pretty interesting. A lot of fun. If you're sensitive enough. I remember the ghost producers guy, one of the producers, giving a seminar in a library. And I asked him, I said, do you notice that some people can take equipment and get all the results, and other people can take the equipment and get nothing? And he goes, exactly. I don't understand it. I can't get anything when I use it. The other guy can get all the results. I said, there you go. Some people are just skeptical with it. What are you going to do?
You're not using the right bait.
I've had ethical issues using somebody as bait, because there's lots of mentally disadvantaged people on drugs that you could use those baits. It's not morally ethical, I don't think.
Bob, did you say you were going to buy that stuff? You were going to buy what did Perry say, the EMF detectors or whatever that stuff is that Ken uses?
Yeah, I was going to buy one then when he was talking about it last year, or maybe it was a little over a year ago. But I'm still probably going to get one. They're pretty neat, and yeah, you just never know when something's going to float by, and I mean, like I said, there's nothing here to haunt this place because I'm the only one that lived here, so but you never know if something might be floating around,
You never know when something's going to float by. The only time I've ever seen anything like that actually on a video, these guys who do urbex videos, urban exploration, basically their whole thing is going into abandoned buildings like malls and insane asylums and hotels, whatever it is, buildings that have been abandoned, and they go in there with their video cameras and stuff. Well, one episode, they decided they were going to go to an asylum, some asylum that closed in the 50s and it's been decaying for over half a century, and they brought some of that ghost detector stuff with them. And one of the things that they had was sort of this AM/FM radio with a scan function, but it was rewired so that when you scanned, it didn't lock onto an actual broadcast station. It would only stop in between stations. So I've never heard of an AM/FM radio with a scanner on it. But anyway, they were doing their video, and as if the whole place wasn't creepy enough, you imagine some old brick building which people had gone insane in and died and all that stuff, because they had the morgue in the basement and such, and they're there at in the middle of the night, and they're walking around with all this decay and everything, and then they stop and it's like, well, let's try the device that they bought. So they put that on and set it up, and so you hear this as it's scanning between FM stations. And apparently you're supposed to listen for voices in between the stations. Like the ghost will talk to you, this is what they said, on the frequencies between the stations. Anyway, that's all I know of it. N1 BCG.
Okay, what the heck you got running in the background?
Oh, that was addressed earlier. Yes, that has a lot to do with the zombie apocalypse. They're out there.
Oh, because it's almost as loud as you are.
Hold on a second. Let me try to turn the mic gain down a bit. Maybe that'll help. Yes, I'm in an inexpensive motel on the side of the interstate here. It's me and just a bunch of truckers.
Oh, there you go. I can give Ken a call and tell him to get on the air.
That would be great, because I don't want him to feel bad that he missed it, and he had some great stories last time.
Yeah, I'll give him a call now.
K1.
And even the wrecking ball is there.
I can get everybody tonight. Say 73. Try later.
Really? I thought you might actually have a story, like the haunted hangar.
No, I got to go upstairs, though, because they do have the trick-or-treaters beating on the door.
I should have said that's what it is. It would be a lot less scary than the zombie apocalypse.
All right, 73's K1QAR out.
Yeah, so the follow-up on that story, these urban exploration kids, they're like in their 20s. Anyway, what was really weird about it is when they were running this scanning radio, it was an AM/FM radio with a scanner on it. I don't quite understand that. But anyway, so one kid, there were two of them, and they have like their super high def digital cameras and stuff with the LED panel lights, so they can light up whatever they're filming. So one guy's holding it, and he goes, wait, I thought I heard some kind of a noise. The static changed. And then the other kid, his friend, comes over with his camera, and he puts the camera right up to the radio, and all of a sudden you hear all this. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's your LED light panel. And they start freaking out. They're like, did you hear that? Did you hear that noise? Here, back away for a bit. And then he backs away with his camera. He goes, it went away. There's spirits here. The spirits must be. You must be a spirit. You're causing the ghost detector to change sounds. And he goes, well, let's try it again. And so the other kid with his camera, and again, it's a digital camera with the LED floodlight on it. He tries to film the radio, to get the sound of the ghost, the ghost detector, the scanning thing. And the moment he brings his camera near it, gets all the RFI from the LED light panel, and the two of them are now completely freaked out. It was very. I should have posted on their comment section, like, you know what that was? I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but that was you guys were haunting yourself with your cameras.
Yeah, on the Ghost Adventures, they call it an ED box, the little machine that goes. And that's what they use on there, and it's the same thing, Clark. That's what they pick out all kinds of voices and things like that. That's a pretty cool show if nobody's ever watched that, if you're talking ghosty stuff. So, KE1MI.
Wow. And I always knew ED to be the medical definition, but this is different. What does it stand for in ghost hunting?
I don't know. Yes, I know. It stands for something totally different than you would think it is, but it's an ED detector, they call it, on that particular program. And similar device that picks up, it scans the low frequency ranges, and it basically is on an old AM type portable radio, but they call it an ED box on that particular program. And they do hear stuff in there periodically. The voices that come out, it's quite incredible. If nobody's ever watched that show, it's on the Travel Channel, and it's actually really good. They've been on for 16 or 17 years now, and they've really kind of they've perfected a lot of stuff. They have a lot of electronic gizmos and whiz-bang things on there. But it's an interesting show. It's entertaining, if nothing else. So I'll give it that.
All right, I'm not familiar with that show. I mean, what I was talking about, it's a YouTube channel of these two guys who are urbex. They do urban explorations. I mean, they're two kids in their 20s. They're good friends, and they go all over the world actually and explore abandoned buildings. And this one that I'm referring to, they brought the ghost detector into an abandoned asylum that had been abandoned like in the 1950s. So imagine, 70 years of decay. It was a brick building, so it was built well, but vines and stuff like that were growing in, and in through the broken windows and stuff. And the whole thing would have been pretty creepy with the sun out in the middle of the day, at noon. But they're doing this at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which is plenty freaky enough. And then they start with the as you were saying, the ED thing. But they tried both, because it was funny, because they weren't specific on what they were doing, but when they first turned it on, because we're kind of like radio savvy, so we could hear this like, oh, okay, that's an FM receiver which is scanning and it's tuning between each station, so you can kind of hear it's going, like that, and you can hear FM stations off frequency. So it's like, okay, so they're scanning all the FM broadcast frequencies that don't have a station on it. And then at one point they kind of gave up with that, and they said, well, there's another setting here. And then all of a sudden it started scanning, and you could tell it was AM. It basically, whatever it was, they switched from FM to AM, because now you could hear, like 10 killer tetradynes, and you didn't hear the white noise anymore as it was scanning. But the thing I'm thinking of is like, wait a minute. So they've got an AM radio which is scanning between strong stations, and it's in the middle of the night, they're going to be getting skip. So and their whole point is they were listening for voices. It's like, oh, well, this should pay off. All they have to do is, stop on some station, that's skipping in, doing like, what is it, that Art Bell program? Or reruns of Art Bell, or maybe some talk show talking about politics or some other scary topic, and they'd be freaking out. So that's what was going on there. And one BCG.
W3MR, make sure I got it. Yeah, well, Clark, how that works is it doesn't stop on a frequency. Okay, it keeps scanning through all these, frequencies very fast, and the point is to hear a word or multiple words, a sentence, over multiple frequencies. So it's not like it's stopping on 38.71 kilohertz for, and then they stop it right there. Oh, we hear a voice, let's stop it. No, it keeps going. You can't stop it. So you're hearing words and sentences or intelligent responses to your questions. You know what I mean? What are the chances you're going to ask a question, get an intelligence response to it over 30 frequencies? You know what I mean? So that's how that works there. And I think, Greg, you were talking maybe about Ghost Adventures. I walked into the room as you were talking about that, but on the Travel Channel, I watch that show all the time. And they have so many different electronic gizmos and, like you said, whiz-bangs that they use, thermal imaging. I mean, the guy's got a lot of money stuffed into this stuff. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. W3MMR.
Yeah, Zach Bagans, Perry. Yep, Zach Bagans is the guy's name, K-E-1-M-I, who runs that show. And there's a few other guys in there too, Billy and Aaron and a couple other guys. And yeah, they've got all kinds of really cool things that they use on that program. And it is entertaining, if nothing else. You know, take it for what you want, okay? Because it is a ghost-type program. But yes, that's exactly what it does. It scans through a bunch of frequencies, and things do pop out that you can hear. You have names, voices that you can hear, sentences, you're right, phrases. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, right. That's like getting on 11 meters and flipping through the channels and trying to get a sentence out of that. You'll never hear anything intelligent there.
Just watch it, Clark. Give it a chance. There's stuff on YouTube, Ghost Adventure stuff. There's full episodes on YouTube. So I gotta go put my my shells in the water. The water's boiling.
All right. Well, if other people have any extraterrestrial and supernatural stories to share, this is what it's all about on Halloween night. So feel free to do that. I know Bob K1KBW is calling Ken KC2UDZ, who was full of great ghost hunting stories last year. I hope you can reach him.
A brief one, KU1MI. The wife poked her head in here a few minutes ago and said, did you hear Jerry Remy died? And I said, no. I said, for those that don't know who Jerry Remy is, he was a play-by-play announcer on Nesson for the Red Sox. I said, no, I didn't hear he died. She says, I was just in a tote yesterday digging through some stuff, and I found his autograph. She was down to Fenway Park probably 15 years ago and got his autograph. And she says, I was just pawing through a tote to grab something or get something out of it, and I ran across his autograph in that tote. And I said, yeah, that's kind of creepy. And here he passed away, so may he rest.
Yeah, well, anybody else, feel free to pick it up. I'm sure there's stories out there.
Kentucky has COVID.
Paranormal research equipment. Got it. And, done some pretty advanced things. They think a simple thing too. Like a simple flat.
Yeah, that's Kentucky. She's got COVID.
Those two things. They're on the Travel Channel also. Pretty good guys. And they found it themselves. But the Jacob's ladder running in a dark room where you're just using night vision and thermal imaging. That's a creepy thing. So, you know how you make it. Well, obviously, pair of rods going off in a V shape. But on Amazon, it's like you can get a 50,000 volt DC to DC converter. It's not much current, but it'll make a light show. So what happens is the volts go to the top of the two probes and sit there, and they're taunting the entity in the show, and then all of a sudden that arc starts to move as if it's being blown in one direction to point at something. And they'll make the arc point in other directions depending on the person speaking or how it's speaking. That's just cool. You need to build too. I mean, obviously, Jake's ladder is going to be inspiring. You just need to leave it. For something to control, something you know that's pushing you around. What do you want to do?
That it's now after 6:30. I guess we're not going to hear from Steve. He's probably preoccupied looking for headlights. I said headlights, not headlice. He's expecting his friend over tonight to play Bananarama or whatever that game is. So, but good stories from Steve QIX as always. Is the band going along, or is that just my receiver going out?
No, there was a moment of silence that actually happened.
Yeah, it was like my ears were popping.
That's nice too. Thank you.
And there wonder if Rob, W1WOR, has any haunted or extraterrestrial or supernatural stories to share.
Extra testicles?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can. Do I have? All right. W1WR. Well, when I was up on our farm there, when I was very, very young, I remember sleeping in one of the rooms, and I was only in the one room. There was no, my cousins or nobody was there. Had the whole room to myself, and I remember going to sleep. I forget how old I was. I might have been 6 or so, maybe 5. And all of a sudden I woke up and like the light was coming in a little bit from the moon. And I see this guy standing there in this long trench coat and a hat. And he's just standing there and I'm looking. And the whole entire night I would fall asleep and I would look up and I was scared. I was afraid to even get up or say anything. You know, go run in the other room, get my grandfather, grandmother, or whoever was around there at the time. And I'm standing there looking, and it scared the daylights out of me. And I finally fell asleep. I woke up the next morning. It's my grandfather's coat rack with his coat over it with a hat on top.
I'll bet he did that on purpose.
Oh man, the shit was made up.
Well, when we were in camp there, we were told, we used to call the outhouse the Kaibos. Kaibo stood for K-Y-B-O, stood for keep your bowels open. That was in camp. And we were told the camp, our camp counselor who had us all around, he was telling ghost stories. And he says, yes. He says, the Kaibo over there had the greenie monster. And when a camper went in there at nighttime, he would turn around and we would never see him again because the greenie monster would come up from the bottom of the Kaibo there and reach up with his hand and pull him down in, and we'd never see him again. Let me tell you, us kids held it for 2 days, never went in there again.
How many soiled bunks do you think happened at that camp?
And the poop flew like crazy.
It backfired, didn't it?
And poop flying is not an uncommon thing.
No, that happened at this radio station I was working. This guy had this isn't really an extraterrestrial supernatural story, but during the morning show, apparently he had explosive diarrhea. Have you ever heard of that? I haven't. I hadn't until then. But anyway, pressure must have been building up, and he's on the air. He's like, you know, doing the morning news program, so he has to talk like every minute. Anyway, the news guy was on, and so they had local news for the first 5 minutes of the hour at the top and bottom of the hour, and so the news guy was on, and this was sort of like his time that the guy with the explosive diarrhea that he didn't have to talk on the air. Well, apparently, instead of using his 5 minutes to deal with what was impending, he somehow didn't address it. And when it was too late, he went running out, and I wasn't there for this because this was like 7:30 in the morning. It was before I got into the station, but apparently it was under so much pressure and shot out that it went out like a rooster tail, you know, like on the behind a jet ski, and sprayed on the walls of the studio. I'm not saying this to be gross. This is actually a true story. The operations manager had to go into the studio, and he was pretty ticked off because he had to clean it up. And the news guy was left hanging there because the newscast ended, and normally he would they're on opposite sides of this double pane glass, and he would, you know, take his hand and motion that the newscast was over and turn it back to the host of the morning show. Well, the morning show host ran out. In fact, not only did he run out of the studio, he didn't run to the men's room. He ran down 3 flights of stairs, got in his car, and drove home. So you can imagine what a memorable morning show that was. And one BCG. And now back to the extraterrestrial and supernatural stories.
Story about when Ray and I got off the train and I went into, this is in Brussels North. Do you really want to hear that story?
That was better known as Muddy River and explosive diarrhea also.
Yeah, go for it. See what you went into.
Alright, well, this is W2ENY. And, yeah, it is an explosive story. Okay, so Ray and I went out to Liège, okay, in Belgium on the train. We had to do some wireless stuff for, I forget if it wasn't O2, it was the other operator there. But anyway, we went out there. They had a problem with one of our power amplifiers, and we went out there and on the way back, we're staying at the Hilton in Brussels North, like 2 blocks from the straight chasing. Anyway, I get off the train and it's like we're drinking this wheat beer like all day. I ate a bunch coming back, and anyway, so make a long story short, I get off the train and it's like I gotta go. And we got like 2 blocks to the hotel. Ray's like, come on, man, you can just go to the hotel. And like, dude, I gotta go right now. So we go into the train station. I go downstairs, and there's these 2 freaking ladies there, and they have like man hands and stuff like that. And I said, listen, I gotta go to the bathroom. And they're like, oh, in some other Flemish or French or whatever the hell they said with it. And I just like handed her like 50 euros. It was a pay toilet. They had to make change. And you know what? I was like, lady, I gotta go. Oh, we have to make change. You know what? I think you all know where this is going. She made change, and it's like I had to go so bad. I go in there, and it was like what you guys were talking about. It like exploded all over the. I never made it down to the seat, and it like exploded all over the back and all over the place. And I basically took off my underpants, left them there, and wet myself, put my shorts back on, and went out. And I said to the fat ladies, I said, hey, have a nice day. Sorry, I tried. Is what I said to them. And dude, it was an explosive event. And there I said it, okay? And I'm walking outside. Ray's like, what went on there, man? I'm like, just keep walking. This is W2ENY.
I would have told that lady, if you don't let me go, I'm going to be making change, and that's going to be in my pants.
Been there, done that.
Dude, I'm telling you, it was an exploder all over the friggin' wall.
Boy, this frequency didn't go to the toilets very quickly, did it? One flew over the poo-poo nest.
That's a true story. Brussels North. I walked into that friggin' with all good intentions. I threw her 50 euros, and she's like, no, I have to make you change. I'm like, you don't get it.
The best toilet stories are ones like that. N2OAM. We should get Bob on here. He has the best toilet stories I've ever heard.
We were wondering where you were. We thought you were playing hide the banana.
No, I was talking to my son on the phone, actually. But I was listening to you guys at the same time.
When's the date show up?
What was that? That was all distorted. I couldn't understand it.
I said, when does your date show up, or your dinner companion?
Oh, Audrey, she's on her way. She's a girl who's a friend, but not a girlfriend. She's just a friend. That's all. No banana hiding or anything like that.
No friends with benefits type of, just a friend.
Yep, no benefits. Friend without benefits.
Come on, Steve, send it in.
Send in the clowns like Mickey Mouse?
So we've actually slept together in the same bed a number of times, and nothing happened. And she's really good looking. I showed her pictures of some of the guys up here, and they said, "Wow, she's good looking."
Hey, I slept with a woman for many years next to her and never had sex. It was called a wife.
Ah, no, this one was just a friend.
How does one do that?
Well, I've known her for so many years that we're literally just friends. I've known her through 2 wives and lots of other stuff, so we're literally just friends.
Yeah, when she says things like, "You know what, you mean so much to me, you're like a brother to me," it's like, now, that's it. It's all over.
Yeah, frankly, I don't want to sleep with this woman. I know too much about her. I know too much about her for me to think about her in that way.
Hey, Clark?
Yes.
Would it have been easier and better if she says, "I just think of you like my cousin"? That would have been okay?
I've gotten the, "you're like a brother to me," and it's like, how do you react to that? Because, I mean, obviously that's really endearing, and you can't get any closer, but it's like, oh, well, I see what you're also saying with that really nice, trusting statement.
Well, I don't know. If you have a good tan, I guess you're like a brother to me.
No, no, it was basically, that's it. We're going to be super good friends. Like, really?
All right. I'm like your second cousin. Oh, then it's okay then. That's further distance of being related.
Yeah, I should have said, "Oh, so we're going to be like brother and sister, but where? Like in the deep south?"
No, you both have too many teeth.
All right. See, I don't think of these details.
And you didn't say y'all.
Hey, a while back, we sent Bob off into the woods to go find Ken, and Bob hasn't returned, nor has Ken. So I don't know, alien abduction, or what do you think happened there?
Nah.
Maybe the zombies got him. Are you sure they're not back yet?
Yeah, someone else can go forage for firewood. I'm staying right here.
Okay, what were they supposed to say? Oh, just a minute. Oh, yeah, he's doing up the windows. Yeah. The zombies, they're coming. And they're already dead.
Well, nonetheless, I think there were some ultra double plus fine business stories this time on the net. So I appreciate that, Steve. That was good. The new for 2021 story, and of course the blue hand. Well, you can never go wrong with that.
Oh, somebody said to
likes
me
the
years
blue
ago
hand.
something about the blue hand. I thought that was always if you sat on your hand, it turned blue and it felt like a different a person.
I don't know why everybody. The blue hand was not even a major incident. It was just, it was kind of minor, but I guess it resonates.
Hey, Clark.
If you don't experience this stuff all the time, yeah, it's a big deal.
Hey, Clark.
Oh, Bob's back.
Yeah, I called Ken because we got yakking, but his antenna, when that windstorm that we had took his antenna down, so he can't get on the air.
He should call you. You can put him on the air. That's such a shame because he's got such great stories.
Well, he just had to go somewhere, so he said, I said, I got to get out of here. He said, I'll talk to you later. So we were talking for like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a bummer. All right, so here's my promise for Extraterrestrial and Supernatural Net Night 2022. I'm going to call Ken a month in advance and record his story, so we'll have, like, filler content.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no, I'm sure he's got plenty of stories, you know, because, I mean, he did that ghost hunting stuff, so I'm sure he's got plenty of stories.
He did the what?
The ghost hunting stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Which is, I never knew about that. He totally, I think he surprised everybody with that.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that about. He never mentioned that to me before, and you know I've known Ken for quite a few years, and you know been riding with him in the car up to Nearfest and stuff, and never mentioned it. So he came out on the air that time with him, everybody with you were on, and I said, wow, I didn't know that.
I know, it's true. He gets on and it's like, oh, well, let's see what kind of story this is. And then he launches into this first-person story about ghost hunting with tremendous detail. It's like, wow.
Hey, Audrey is here. She doesn't have any ghost stories, though. And she hasn't heard any of mine. So Clark, if you had a representative story that I should tell her, which one would it be?
I like. I mean, you mean of yours? Choosing from the Steve catalog of stories?
The Blue Hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of my stories. Which one would be the best one?
Blue Hand.
It's unanimous.
Yeah, I reckon I could agree.
All right, I'll tell her the Blue Hand story over dinner.
Yeah, but lots of detail, lots and lots of detail.
Well, I only have the detail that's real. I don't have to embellish it. You want to say hi to the boys? Oh, here she comes. She's coming over. She's going to say hi.
Hi, gentlemen.
Well, wait a minute now. There aren't any gentlemen on that frequency.
Well, they found it older than boys.
Well, they're older than boys, but they're definitely not gentlemen, right? Would you concur with that?
Hey, no, we're miscreants.
Come on, she's got to say yellow.
We're men with little boy's mentality.
Yeah, we're miscreants.
Yeah, if you were to walk into like some sailor bar in the 1750s, I mean, really, how many gentlemen would you find in there?
She's got to say yellow.
But she doesn't know about yellow.
Yeah, that's Tim Trenese.
Clark, what does Lynn say about us? Have these guys grown up yet?
No. Nope. All right, listen, I'm going to sign out. We're going to have dinner. I made chili. Audrey brought a lettuce, so we'll throw a salad together. We're going to check out the World Series. Go Astros. No, not Astros. Go Atlanta Braves. They're going to win. They're going to win tonight. They're going to take the World Series. And Houston is going to lose. So we're going to watch all this take place. So we'll see you guys later, and I'll definitely tell her the Blue Hand story. And talk to you guys later. WA1QIX signing for now.
Hey, why not teach her a few words of Tim Tronese over dinner?
Yeah, by the way,
we'll catch
Steve,
you later,
no great
Stephen.
story ever started with
nice hearing
eating
from you,
salad,
Audrey.
So get that red wine
We'll
going
catch you in a
on
while.
there. And the
K1
second thing is,
KBW.
if you're going to tell her the Blue Hand story, all the lights have to go off and get a flashlight, you know, put it right at the chin there. That's the atmosphere for the Blue Hand story. And one BCG.
How about Bill Cosby and Chicken Heart? That's a good one.
Oh, no, we're doing the real stories.
And we pretty much ruined his dinner.
Anyway, good evening, Steve and Audrey. Nice to meet you, Audrey. This is W2ENY.
Doesn't it feel like we're all invited to their dinner?
Yes, it does.
A Zoom meeting.
Crowded table.
Steve, you should do a Zoom meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's fun, huh?
This is a Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting right here on 73.
It's the original social media. It's W2JBL.
Chris, surely you've got some extraterrestrial or supernatural stories.
Another miscreant heard from.
No, Clark, I really don't.
Don't call
Nothing
him
weird
Shirley.
ever encountered?
I don't. No, I've never had really any, spooky encounters like that. Some spooky stuff happened the night my father died, and the night after he died. That's about as close as I can come. The clock, the electric, mechanical digital clock in his '79 Pontiac, stopped at the exact time when he passed. Was 3:45 a.m. And then the next night, at 24 hours later, at 3:45 a.m., a huge, I'm talking, 180-foot oak tree in my mother's front yard that was healthy came down. That's about all I can think of now.
Oh, see, that's a story.
Hell yeah. Get rid of that tree. Hey there, Chris, W2ENY. Sorry, man. I'm sorry we didn't get on the same page that day when I was up at that place up in Randolph, Vermont. They had there was that T-Craft 6-meter receive converter with the new Vista in it, and I was a bear, and I'm sorry, man, I didn't get on the same page with you with email and stuff, and anyway, it's slipped through the cracks. This is W2NY.
That's all right. Easy come, easy go. I had told Bear, because I did talk to him before he met up with you, went up there. And I told him what I was looking for and what it looked like. Hey, we're all over 50 here. Maybe he forgot. Whatever. It would have been nice plugged in on my R390As. I still don't have a decent email address for you. The one you had on QRZ bounces for some reason.
I got no idea, man. It's W2ENY@yahoo.com.
Oh, I'm on AOL. I think they own Yahoo now. They own each other. And AOL, as soon as I hit send, it says, please enter a valid email address, or not. This is not a valid email address. Very strange.
I don't know, man. Maybe the URL I have imported into QRZ is, I don't know, has a space in the front or the back. You never know. You never know how that goes. Anyway, but my email's like all over the internet, man, with all my buying and selling stuff, headsets, adapters, all that crap. It's all there. Anyway, maybe I gotta go over to QRZ and fix it. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, okay. I understand. Well, yeah. See what's going on. And I'll go back and look. Like I said, maybe there's a space or an underscore in there or something like that. But I would like to talk to you off the air. Well, that's cool. W2JBL.
Hello, Chris, if that's Chris.
Oh, hi, Rob.
What's going on?
Oh, I don't know. Working on boat anchors and hunting small game on the property. The virus that came through the area wiped out my freaking deer. Deer are gone. They're all dead, apparently. It sucks because there was this 4-year-old buck that I wanted to take this season. Haven't seen him. He used to hang around a lot.